Welcome to another edition of the Sons of Thunder podcast. I have Dee Ferguson in here with me today, and he's going to give us the parental view of parenting student athletes. So welcome to the studio.
Hey, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, so first of all, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I live here in East Hartford.
It's a great place to raise a family, I would say. So did you grow up playing sports? And
that's a fun fact about me. No, I didn't. I know you would look at me and assume that I have some football experience or whatever, but no, I never thought sports was my calling.
Okay.
So I decided not to do that.
Now, were you a good student?
Yeah, somewhat, to be honest with you.
Okay, no.
Somewhat. You know, not until now that I've gotten older, I realize now why I wasn't a good student.
Mm-hmm.
What we're taught in school doesn't reflect who I am. Mm-hmm. And none of the history reflects me.
Absolutely.
So now I'm starting to see why I sat in class and just like, doesn't make any sense.
It's not for me.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to express myself at the time to say, this or that.
I think it's because we're all programmed.
Right. So I couldn't, so I was like, so you end up acting out sometime, or like, I don't want to hear that. I'm not doing that. But it doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
Now I see why. As an adult, I see why it didn't.
I think that's challenging. And I think now, we're trying to teach kids different ways of learning and everything like that. And we're going to maybe we'll change the way that social studies is run and everything like that. So it relates to some of us, right?
Exactly.
And I also think, too, not having people in school that looks like you.
Right.
And
history doesn't reflect us only from the slavery standpoint, but our history runs way deeper than that.
Right. So I think we learn about Martin Luther King, we learn about Rosa Parks, and then it stops.
Yeah, that's all we have.
Right.
That's all we have. But if we go back before Christianity.
Exactly.
So it's just, and now I know that. But if I'd known that in school, it would have been a whole different thing. Mm-hmm. I would enjoy going to school. Just couldn't wait to get there and to do the research and stuff like that. But we have our kids sitting in class and just not. And I wonder how many other kids felt like me.
I think there's more kids nowadays that feel that way.
Right. But the history reflects us more than I think we want to be more involved in school. Mm-hmm. But we don't know how to. Maybe other kids don't know how to express themselves like I didn't know how to express myself. Mm-hmm. Now I can see it.
Right.
And other than that, I would have really enjoyed school and took advantage of sports and so on and so forth.
Right.
So.
I think that saves a lot of people, sports.
Yes.
It's important.
Yeah, that's a relief.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have a role model growing up?
I would say my parents. My parents. My mother, hardworking, always did the best she could for us. And just kept us going and try to stay as positive as she can, and always was what I want to say, kind of encouraging. Mm-hmm. Always encouraging as much as she can with what she had.
Right.
So I in turn try to take it a step further and instill different things in my kids, go from where she left off at and take it a step up.
Mm-hmm. She was very motivational.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you think that your mom impacted your life, and how did it affect you growing up?
Just seeing her work ethic and make me want to work hard, and when I have my family, to be there and stick with them, and just be more nurturing than anything. Mm-hmm.
Loving is, I think, the most important thing.
Right.
So both your sons, Quincy and Isaiah, are good athletes, according to Mr. Copeland.
Yes.
Did you and your wife have a good game plan to produce successful athletes?
Yes, I can start. My wife, she had most of the plan. I give it to her, but I would say worked around the clock. I worked third shift. She worked in school, so she was more of the education person in their life, and I picked up the other pieces and worked nights just in case they got sick or they needed to go to a game, so on and so forth, and I was there, so we kind of worked around the clock like that.
Smart.
Yeah.
Very smart. So aside from your plan when you guys did the third shift and everything, did they do other, like, so if they were involved in like any travel sports or anything growing up, like did they only play at the schools or did you have them in other?
They played just about every sport that there were. You know, they started with soccer to baseball, football, basketball, and excuse me, whenever they went anywhere, you know, I was usually the one to take them to sports down to the AU, being all over New England. You know.
So you guys were always consistently traveling with
Right,
them.
right.
It wasn't just because right now, if you live in Hartford, let's say for example, you might not start sports until middle school and into high school, but
Right.
it's smart to start at a young age so
Right.
that way they can get the foundation.
Yeah, they started with soccer, the town of East Hartford soccer. Then they moved over to Park and Rec with the basketball.
Yep.
And then they moved into football, East Hartford Hornets, and always played basketball in between there. Basketball was their favorite sport.
And so they compete at Capital Prep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I had one is still there. My son Quincy is still there. He's a senior. He'll be graduating this year. My son Isaiah is now in college, his sophomore year at Adelphi University in Long Island.
In Long Island.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, nice. That's awesome. And does he play sports there?
Yeah, I run track.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. Awesome. So your wife is the principal at Capital Prep, which I can see you're representing her with the merch.
Yes, yes.
And so both Quincy and Isaiah attended Capital Prep. Did your boys feel like that they were prepared to move on to the collegiate level?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. And they had, I think it was a lot of pressure on them being in school with their mother, and not just their mother is their principal. So there's no room for error. If something went wrong, she got it right down, come to my office. You know, so it's like
It's a double whammy because they're getting called to the principal's office with their mother.
yeah. And my wife trying to juggle being a principal and mom, and it's tough. Like,
You're right.
okay, mom steps in here. This is principal's work. You know.
But they also know that they have to behave because their mother is in charge.
Right. but you want that little leniency, something, you know, you make mistakes
All the time.
But they got it instantly. Somebody called down, you
Right.
know, Isaiah or Quincy is doing blase.
Just like
Yeah,
that.
opposed to, you know, I'll see my mom when I get home and I'll tell her what happened, make up a story, but everybody done cooled off then. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I think it was a lot of pressure with that.
Absolutely. But as long, they were able to like find the happy medium,
Yeah,
So-
definitely.
Obviously, you're an active parent. Can you give advice to single parents that might be struggling having their kids be a student athlete, but also be a strong student as well?
You just gotta stay in there with them. You gotta kind of stay active in their academics as well as their sports, and be encouraging as much as you can, and still manage your day to day. You know, it's tough, especially being a single parent. Like I said, I work third shift. My wife works first shift, and we kind of swapped out.
It's like a
she's coming
switch.
in. I'm going out. I'm there for any incidentals and any after school sports when she has to stay. That's the principal, and she'll meet me at a game or something like that. Meet us at a game, so on and so forth. So
Right.
It'll be really tough with a single parent.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
What about do you think that the coaches are good supporters for, single parents, having the coach be like a role model for the students? Do you think that sometimes your coaches for your sons like stepped in and was a role model for them?
Yeah, definitely. For the most part, yeah, that always help and get you there. You know what I'm saying? But then, as a parent, you're trying to work a job or work two jobs, and you're feeling guilty not being there. But every little bit helps, and coaches definitely.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
to have them to step
Yeah.
in. Do you think school is a good enough for job accessing information, careers, college to families? So do you think that Capital Prep is setting kids up if maybe they don't want to go to college, they have another option, maybe a secondary option instead of going to school?
Yeah. I would say definitely. They definitely are really on that, and setting. It's mainly a college preparatory school,
Right.
but I'm sure they have things in place. All I know is all the kids from Capital Prep leave Capital Prep and and gets accepted to college.
So that's their push.
Right. But I'm sure there's other supports there, that can support a child who wants to go and come out and work or what have you, or.
There's always options. It's just being able to like access them, I think, ultimately.
Right.
How can we make parents be more held accountable for their kids' education? It's a loaded question.
Right. That's deep. That's a whole other conversation, really. Your presence, being there, and then again, it's hard to be there when you don't, when you have to work.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta, kids, you come home, you get off the bus, you do this, you do that, and I'll be there, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But we need to give our kids more of us than things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
it's all about love.
Right. And we could, if as a people or a family, if you can downsize and be there more so your kids will know you instead of knowing what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to repeat what you do.
Yes.
When the time comes where you can't do it anymore.
Right.
I know mom worked 2-3 jobs to keep the lights on, so I'm a
do the same.
Right.
And
I don't necessarily believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
But then when mom is no longer with us, did we really know mom?
Right. Because she spent so much time working.
Yeah, right. Simple things like what's her favorite color?
Right.
What's her favorite?
Yeah.
When you reflect back.
Yeah.
I just know what she did.
Right.
And we all had to do this. I had to do this.
But if she wasn't working, did you get the things that you needed? So you're saying step back and take away those things?
Some of them things, some things is not needed. We live in a world, it's really tempting out there, and everything is so readily available, and this vacation, and go here and go there, and the
sneakers.
Yeah. Sneakers, and the sneakers are $200-$300 now, and opposed to, when I grew up, they were $60.
Yeah, they're astronomical now.
Yeah, and that was a lot of money then.
Yeah. So having that third job was paying for that extra pair of shoes.
Right. But when it's all said and done, you're not going to have those shoes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
Did you know your parents? Did you really know your mother? Did you know your father?
Mm-hmm.
The little simple stuff.
Yeah, I think that's tough because, we're in such a materialistic world that it's hard to understand that we can take a step back.
Right.
And be there.
Yeah, and try to be more of a coherent family. Like I picture back in the day, everything was tight knit. You lived off one paycheck. Dad went out and did all the dirty work, come back in, but everybody was
together.
Yeah, together.
Yeah. I think that's like a memory that you'll always have. Like when you were together, those are the best memories that you had.
Right.
It's tough.
Yeah.
So some of our kids tend to have unrealistic dreams about careers, school, etc. What advice can you give others about dealing with such a kid without crushing their spirit? So what could you say? If your son says, I'm going to the NBA, Dad, you can't tell me anything.
Right.
What do you tell him?
I'll just encourage him.
Mm-hmm.
If that's your dream path, who am I to say you can't?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I could tell you some realistic things that you might encounter on your way.
Right.
But let's keep going.
Let's keep going.
That's what you want to do?
Yeah.
Oh, and if it works, good. If it doesn't work,
what's your backup plan?
Right. So now what do we want to go with now? So it's
we have to support them the best way possible.
Right. But sometimes you know what I'm saying. But this is what you want to do. Okay.
Let's do it.
Oh, okay. So as a parent, I would look more into it and say, hey, did you know this? Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know this? Did you know that?
Right.
In order to have success in that, you have to, work out X many times a day and so on and so forth. And,
No, I hear you. So just a final question. As a parent athlete, is there any just one overall advice that you'd give to parents that are starting off their kids as their freshman year and they want to pursue a career after in college and play sports? Is there one advice that you would give parents?
Just stick with your kids.
Stick with them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stick with them. Whatever they want to do, stick with them. you can interject a few things from your experience, because obviously you've been here longer than them. So you done had your ups and downs and highs and lows and so on and so forth. Just
Be there.
hang in there. Yeah.
Good. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Dave Ferguson, for being here. I really appreciate it. And we'll see everybody on our next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.